Picture this, deep in the jungle. These magnificent stone cities are just soaring above the trees. Now, they were once home to millions of people, absolutely bustling with life and art and science. But today, they're silent, completely reclaimed by nature. These are the incredible ruins of the Maya civilization.
So this is one of history's greatest mysteries, right? You have a civilization that reached these incredible heights, only to have its biggest, most powerful cities in the south just empty out. So what happened? Well, to figure that out, we have to look at who the Maya were when they were at the absolute top of their game.
To even begin to unpack the mystery of their decline, we first have to appreciate the sheer brilliance of the Maya at their peak. Seriously, this was not some primitive society. This was a civilization of profound genius.
Their golden age, what we call the classic period, lasted for over 600 years. We're not talking about a flash in the pan. From 250 to 900 CE, their cities got bigger and more complex, populations exploded, and their intellectual achievements were just off the charts. It was this long, sustained period of incredible cultural flourishing.
Okay, look at this. This simple symbol, it represents one of the greatest intellectual leaps in all of human history, the idea of zero. The Maya independently developed and used zero in their math centuries before many cultures in the Old World even got there. It was a total game changer that let them do incredibly complex calculations, which was essential for their architecture, their trade, and especially their astronomy.
And the list of their achievements is just staggering. They created the only fully developed writing system in the ancient Americas. Their calendars were actually more accurate than the one being used in Europe at the same time. From their observatories, priest astronomers tracked everything: the sun, the moon, the planets, and they could predict eclipses with just mind-blowing precision. And get this, they did all of this while building these massive stone cities without metal tools, wheels, or animals to do the heavy lifting. Just incredible.
And this quote, it really gets to the heart of how the Maya saw the world. For them, science and religion were the same thing. Astronomy was astrology. Tracking the planet Venus wasn't just about collecting data, it was a way to read the future, to get messages from the gods. Every single thing that happened in the sky meant something.
So how is this whole incredible civilization organized? Was it one huge unified empire, kind of like the Romans? Well, the answer is way more complicated than that.
This part is so crucial to understand. They were not one single empire. Instead, their world was this dynamic, complex network of dozens of independent kingdoms or city-states, and while they all shared a similar culture and religion, each city was its own boss, ruled by its own royal family.
And inside this network, you had superpowers. Think of it like a giant geopolitical chessboard. For centuries, two major players, Tikal and Calakmul, were locked in this fierce rivalry. They made alliances, they fought wars, and they were constantly competing for power, basically shaping the politics of the entire region.
Maya society was very structured, with clear levels. At the very top was the Kuhul Ajau, or the divine king. He wasn't just a ruler, he was seen as the bridge between the human world and the world of the gods. Below him, you had the nobles and priests, who ran the government and held all the secret knowledge of writing and the calendars. And then you had the commoners, the farmers and workers, whose labor held the whole thing up.
Okay, so we've got a profile of this brilliant, complex, politically messy civilization at its absolute peak. Now, let's start digging into the evidence, the clues they left behind in the soil, in the lakes, and in the stones that point to why it all just fell apart in their southern heartland.
The most compelling piece of evidence points right up to the sky, or really to the rain that stopped falling from it. You have to remember, the Maya lowlands were completely 100% dependent on seasonal rain for all their water.
So, scientists analyzing mud from the bottom of ancient lakes found a devastating clue. Right around the time those southern cities were abandoned, the whole region was hammered by a series of catastrophic, multi-decade megadroughts. This wasn't just a dry spell, this was a long, brutal period of climate change.
And the key here is how severe it was. We are talking about annual rainfall dropping by between 41 and 54%. Just imagine if you lost over half of your water supply year after year after year. In a society that depends on farming corn, a drop like that means systemic crop failure. It means starvation.
But here's the twist. Was this just a natural cycle, just bad luck, or did the Maya themselves actually have a hand in their own environmental crisis? Well, the evidence suggests they might have accidentally made a really bad situation a whole lot worse.
To build those amazing temples and palaces, the Maya used this brilliant white lime plaster.
But to make that plaster, they had to burn enormous amounts of wood. This led to massive deforestation all over the place. And when you clear that much forest, it has consequences. It can actually reduce the local humidity and rainfall, possibly making the natural droughts worse by as much as 15%. It's tragic, really. Their greatest cultural achievement may have helped create their greatest vulnerability.
Okay, so now imagine this. The environment is failing, resources are disappearing, and you've got this complex political world full of rival kingdoms. What do you think happens next? The evidence suggests the whole social fabric just started to tear apart.
With food and water getting dangerously low, the competition between cities just exploded into constant, brutal warfare. And at the same time, the divine kings were facing a crisis. I mean, their main job was to keep the gods happy and bring prosperity, but the rains weren't coming. Their authority just crumbled, and that led to total political chaos and social unrest.
So we have drought, deforestation, and warfare. None of these things alone can fully explain the collapse of those southern cities. The real answer, the solution to the mystery, isn't a single cause. It's about how they all connected and crashed into each other.
It wasn't one single event. It's what experts call a systems collapse. It was a perfect storm. The environmental pressure from the drought, made worse by deforestation, led to resource scarcity. That scarcity then fueled political unrest and constant warfare, which then shattered the king's authority and broke the trade networks. The whole system that supported these massive cities just buckled and then failed. And in the end, people did the only logical thing. They voted with their feet. They left, abandoning the great cities and moving to places with more reliable water.
And this leads us to the biggest misconception of all, the final and maybe most important revelation in our whole investigation into the so-called Maya collapse. That whole idea of a mysterious vanishing act is a romantic myth. It's a great story, but it's not true. The Maya people did not just disappear. What collapsed was a specific political system in a specific region, the southern lowlands. The people themselves, they endured, they adapted, and they moved. In fact, today, more than 7 million Maya people are living across their ancestral homelands in Mexico and Central America. They speak dozens of distinct Mayan languages, they carry on their ancient traditions, and they are the living guardians of this incredibly vibrant and resilient culture that has survived for thousands of years.
So, the story of the classic Maya isn't just about solving some ancient mystery. It's a really stark reminder that even the most brilliant civilizations are completely dependent on a stable environment. It really forces us to ask a tough question. How resilient is our own system to the pressures of a changing climate?